Hey, it's day 14 of my Read Proverbs with Me to Start 2025 series, and when reading chapter 14 today, there was one verse that just jumped off the page at me. You know, it was just like, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, there was this one verse that really jumped off the page. And that verse is verse 12 that says, "There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death." Like, well, that's very important, that there is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death. So then reading it, you're like, okay, how do we stay off that path? And a few verses later, in verse 15, it says, "The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps." So we see that through giving thought to our steps, we can avoid the wrong paths. But then one could ask, well, even if we've thought about our steps, even if we've given thought to it, how can we be sure that the path we're on is the right one? And the answer to that comes from having a relationship with God, staying close to Him, consulting Him. As it says in verse 2, "Whoever fears the Lord walks uprightly." So we know that whenever we are prudent, whenever we give thought to our ways, whenever we stay close to God, that we will be on the right paths and we will be able to avoid the wrong ones. No matter how deceiving the wrong ones may seem, we know that we can stay off of the wrong paths and stay on the right paths and live uprightly and stay on the path that leads to life. And so that's what stood out to me today about chapter 14. If you don't know, this video is day 14 of a 31-day series I'm doing in January that I'm calling Read Proverbs with Me to Start 2025. And I started the series just because I was going to be reading Proverbs in January. There are 31 days in January and 31 chapters of Proverbs. So I was like, read one chapter of Proverbs a day in January, and I've read the whole book. But then I had the idea to just kind of make a video series sharing what I liked and what stood out to me, encouraging others to join me so that we could all keep a daily Bible reading habit together and gain wisdom to start January. And so I thought that would be fun. And so I'm enjoying making this series. And if you haven't joined me, I'd love for you to follow along. Even though it's day 14, it's not too late to join. Just jump right in, read Proverbs. Let's keep a daily Bible reading habit to start 2025 off strong. And if you have joined me, I'm so thankful, I'm so glad. I really would love to know what God's been speaking to you, what stood out to you about chapter 14. You can let me know in the comments. But seriously, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. I can't wait to do the rest of this series and to read the rest of Proverbs. Come back tomorrow for chapter 15.